Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked about three games that will have a huge amount of impact on the CFP race. We have Notre Dame USC, you got Miami Syracuse, you got Kansas State Iowa State. Three games that will be absolutely huge and definitely could give some teams a little bit of hope that they do not think that they have right now. But let's get to some rivalries. Let's talk about some big time rivalries that are going on this upcoming weekend, and we'll start with one of my personal favorites, clean old fashioned hate that is going on in Athens, Georgia this weekend. One of my personal favorites because I did grow up in the Atlanta area, went to a lot of these games, and absolutely loved this rivalry. It was so much fun to watch Paul Johnson's triple option offense go against the just beast that Mark Richt had back in the day. But going to be a really awesome game this Saturday, no doubt about that. And Georgia Tech is one of those teams that if they can do nothing else, they can run the football. And Georgia has been a team that hasn't necessarily struggled with the run the entire year, but at different moments, that D-line has gotten, I don't want to say pushed around, but handled a little bit, and other teams have been able to run the ball. If Georgia Tech can get Jamal Haynes going and that run game going in this game, it can get a little bit interesting. They definitely need that in this game because you want to keep the ball out of that Georgia offense. There's no offense's hands, no doubt about that. And Georgia Tech's looking to just blow up Georgia's season. If they were to win this game, I think Georgia would be on a very, very interesting path with the SEC championship the next weekend. Would be fascinating to watch all that unfold. And then for Georgia, this Georgia Tech back end should be able to be attacked. No doubt about that. You should be able to continue building Carson Beck's confidence, get yourself a spot in the CFP, and get yourself a very good spot in Atlanta at the end of this one. But some keys to the game. The Georgia Tech quarterback situation is something you're going to want to follow. Aaron Philo and Haynes King have kind of been splitting snaps over the last little bit. Haynes King has not necessarily been 100% by any means. He's been doing a lot of different run plays, zone reads, and things of that nature. I don't think he's going to play a huge role in this game. I think it's a lot of window dressing for Georgia Tech, and then Aaron Philo will likely be the quarterback in this one, and it's going to be a lot for him to deal with. Now, he is from the Athens area, so it'll be a really cool moment for him to play in Sanford Stadium, I assume in front of a lot of friends and family, but at the end of the day, going to be a very interesting atmosphere for the freshman to deal with. And then the Georgia Tech O-line against the UGA D-line. This Georgia Tech O-line, one of the best in the country when it comes to run blocking. They are a very good unit and are very unsung because they're not necessarily that big-time team, but this unit up front is really, really good under Brent Key, who used to be an offensive lineman. So he built out that unit very, very effectively, and it's going to be a huge group. If they can get that run game going and kind of cut down the time of possession for Georgia, this thing is going to be really interesting like it was last year. And then who can avoid mistakes? Carson Beck is not quite out of the woods when it comes to his interception turnover bug that he's had the last couple of weeks. For Georgia Tech, they need to avoid mistakes. If they make mistakes, if they give the ball to Georgia a couple of times in this game, it's going to be a nightmare for them. So who can win those 50-50 battles? Who can flip the game with that one interception, with that one fumble? Who cannot flip the game with that one fumble, with that one interception? And make sure that their team is just playing really clean football throughout the day. So I think it's going to be a really fun game. I think they get after each other for about a half, and then Georgia probably pulls away at the end of the day. I think this Georgia Tech back end's a little bit too porous for my taste, and I think Carson Beck is playing really elite football, so I'm going to pick Georgia to win this one. I think that first half is going to have a lot of people tweeting that Georgia's not so for real and Georgia doesn't belong and all that type of stuff, and then they'll probably pull away in the second half. And then we do have the Iron Bowl, the one that ended on one of the craziest plays that I've ever seen, one of the worst defensive plays that I've ever seen in my life, with the 4th and 31 to Isaiah Bond, who is actually going to be playing in College Station this upcoming weekend for Texas. But Alabama's in a position that they're not usually in. They do not hold all the power when it comes to their future in the CFP. They got to win this game, and then they got to find a way to get another loss. They could win this game and very well be on the outside looking in. That being said, 8-4 would create a lot of talk around Tuscaloosa, around Kalen DeBoer, and especially losing this game, it would be a very interesting reception. I can almost promise you that. Auburn is coming off the win of the year over A&M this past weekend. Now they go on the road for a rivalry matchup. The question to me is the energy and focus still at that level? Are they riding that high, sort of? Or have they lost a little bit of that as all of the energy put towards that A&M game, and now they're a little bit dragging for this one? It's happened before this season, definitely could happen in this one. And then Jalen Milroe is the guy for this offense. There is no other person that is going to make a lot of these plays. There is no other person that is going to be asked to make a lot of these plays. Jalen Milroe is going to win or lose this game for Alabama one way or the other. Auburn did a really good job of shutting down Marcel Reed's legs, at least making them less of a factor. He definitely made some plays with his legs, but definitely was not the factor that he can be. If they can do the same to Milroe, then he's going to have to do what he did against Oklahoma, which is stand back there and pass. And we saw what happened when he stands back there and passes. So it's going to be interesting to see what the attack is for the Auburn defense. And the first key to the game is that energy difference that I talked about. Does Auburn, are they depleted after that win? Are they energized after that win? For Bama, are they angry after that loss? Are they a little bit demoralized after that loss? I think after the rankings came out yesterday, they're probably feeling a little bit more energized, but definitely a interesting thing going into this game where you usually have an Auburn team that's dragging and you have an Alabama team that has everything to play for. A little bit of a different scenario this time around. Then Milroe against the D-line of Auburn. They're a very good group. They're very long. They're very athletic. They're roughly as good as many other SEC groups around the conference. Milroe's legs are a little bit different, and they're what makes this Alabama offense a little bit special. And we'll see if Auburn can do what they did to Marcel Reed. Obviously, Milroe's probably a little bit better of an athlete than Marcel Reed is, but definitely going to be one of those things that you're just going to have to do. One way or the other, you have to slow this guy down. If you don't slow him down, then he is going to make you pay. He is going to totally take over this game, and Alabama's going to run away with this one, win by about 17, and possibly find themselves in the playoff as an at-large bid. So Auburn wants to avoid that at all costs, and if they're going to do that, probably need some explosive through the air. I think that's going to be a huge part of this game. Both teams love to push the ball downfield. Both teams are pretty successful at pushing the ball downfield. Peyton Thorne's gotten much, much better at throwing those deep balls. Jalen Milroe, one of the best in the country at throwing deep balls. So guys like Cam Coleman, guys like Ryan Williams, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Jeremy Bernard, they're going to be huge in this game. And who can make those one or two big-time plays deep over the field might just be the difference in this one. And I think when I look at this one, there's so many different narratives that go into this one. Kalen DeBoer definitely feeling the pressure. I can promise you that. Auburn feeling a little bit less pressure, but definitely want to get to that bowl game at the end of the day. The way I look at this one is Alabama's just not going to be denied. I just cannot believe that Alabama is going to go out here and lose a second straight game, fall fully out of the contention for the CFP before that final weekend. I have to assume that they're going to get a win. I really thought about picking Auburn. I'll be totally honest with you. I really like what this Auburn team is doing, and I think they're a really dangerous group. I just can't pick against Alabama in this spot. They already lost one game that was really embarrassing. I think they come back home. I think they get a big win, and then they'll see if Notre Dame or if someone in front of them can fall and they can possibly sneak into that field. And then we got the game. The one that everyone has loved to watch the last 3 seasons has been the marquee game of the weekend. The last 3 seasons, not so much this year. It is now a game that Michigan just wants to ruin Ohio State's season with, which is what it was for about a decade there, right before those 3 seasons. But at the end of the day, Ohio State doesn't need motivation. It's already there. Ryan Day does not have to do a rah-rah speech. He does not have to get his guys up for this game. He does not have to do much of anything. There's going to be steam rolling out of these guys' ears when they walk out of the tunnel. I promise you that. There are a lot of players on this team that have not beaten Michigan once. Jack Sawyer has not beaten Michigan. JTT has not beaten Michigan. Denzel Burke has not beaten Michigan. They are very mad about that. They're going to come out of this one. They're going to try to throw the first punch. Now, if Michigan were to throw the first punch, if Michigan were to get the first score on the board, would those Ohio State players look around and say, no way this is happening again? And a little bit of them kind of shy away from this game. That is definitely an opening. So Michigan might just want to throw that first punch, see if it knocks down Ohio State. That being said, I do think they're going to come in with a lot of fire in this game. I think some people are going to be flying around. Hopefully we don't get any injuries from it, but there will be guys flying around the field. I can promise you that. But Will Howard is going to be faced with a ton of pressure and different coverages in this game. Wink Martindale does a great job of confusing people with pre-snap stuff. He's just got to play mistake-free. He's got to facilitate the offense, get the ball out to the playmakers, and let them make plays, especially without Will Johnson in this back end. You'll have the opening to make a lot of those plays downfield. Just got to get the ball to your guys and then let them do what they do. Keys to the game, 3 years of buildup. I mean, Ryan Day, all of those players on that sideline, they're going to be mad. They're going to want every bit of energy, every bit of thing that you will give him. If you will give him bulletin board material, they will take it. All those seniors are going to be as mad as can be when they walk out of that tunnel, and they're probably going to take it out on Michigan. They're going to be very, very aggressive in this game. Obviously, have to be very, very careful. Controlled aggression, as they call it, but going to be an incredible game and definitely one where Ohio State's going to let out quite a bit of frustration over the last 3 years. Then you do have the Michigan defensive tackles against an injured offensive line for Ohio State. this is the best defensive tackle duo in the entire country. Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant can absolutely wreck this game. If they were to slow down this rushing attack for Ohio State, can Will Howard shoulder the load? Can he make all the plays through the air that he needs to make? Or will this kind of get this game bogged down and kind of make this confusing and throw a little bit of a wrench into the work for Ohio State? So that's what they're going to need. Michigan's going to need these two to totally blow up the game. If they're handled, then it's going to be a long day for them. And then can Michigan dominate time and possession? This is what they do. This is what they've always done. This is what they did for the last 3 years, and they did it really, really well. And they're going to have to do it probably even better on Saturday, frankly, because they got to keep the ball out of the hands of Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka and Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, and I could go on and on, frankly. There are ridiculous amounts of playmakers on the other side, and the only real chance you have to stop them consistently is make sure that they're on the sideline consistently. So run the ball very effectively. If you can get that going, then maybe you elongate some of these offensive drives and things get a little bit closer than Ohio State likes them in that fourth quarter. All that being said, there's so much build-up. Michigan definitely has plenty to play for in this game. Ohio State's out for blood. They're going to beat this team into submission. I can almost promise you that. Now, if Michigan goes out there and wins, all respect to Sharon Moore. I will be on here singing his praises on Monday. They are not winning this game. Ohio State is going to go out there. They are going to be very, very aggressive in their approach, and they're going to win this game. And then when they have it in wraps, when they're up 21 points in the fourth quarter, they're going to keep pouring on. I absolutely promise you that. Ryan Day is very angry about this game going the wrong direction the last couple of years, and he's going to come with steam rolling out of his ears, and they're going to really put it on this team, if I had to imagine. I don't think this stops at any point. I don't think they're even thinking about resting some starters for next week. They want to beat the crap out of this team, and I think they will do that. So I'm going to pick Ohio State. I'm going to pick Alabama, but I'm very much on the edge about that one. And I'm going to pick Georgia to get some big-time wins this upcoming weekend. But we got to take our last break here. We are going a little bit long here with all the games we have to get to, but we'll take our last break here, and then we'll do a whip around to just all the other games. We have a million other games to get to, so we'll go a little bit rapid fire here, no doubt about that, but want to break down all the games you guys have to be on the lookout for this weekend right after this, so stick with us.